Okay, we're home again. After having a big argument with the guy at Midas, who was telling us all sorts of nonsense. He was saying that it doesn't matter whether you put a lead-acid battery or an AGM battery in the car. The only difference between them is longevity. The AGM battery lasts longer. That's the only reason. Which is not what Steve, the mechanic at All Brands Auto, told us. He told us that because the engine starts and stops and stops and stops, it's putting too much strain on the lead-acid battery. Maybe that's what I thought. Okay, one thing he did actually say is that it's not programmed for the right charge rate for lead-acid battery. And if you put in a lead-acid battery, you're supposed to update the settings somehow so that it charges it correctly. But it wasn't charging it correctly, and that's why it killed the battery. And then the guy at Midas was saying, no, the battery's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with the battery, even though the testing machine says that it needs to be replaced. And I said, well, why would it say that the battery needs to be replaced if it's fine? It was because it's just on a piece of paper. That's what it says on a piece of paper. What? And then he said that the Equinox has an auxiliary battery. Where's the auxiliary battery? He doesn't know where it is. I tried looking it up. There is no such thing in this Chevy Equinox. It does not have an auxiliary battery. He does not know what he's talking about. I trust Steve, the mechanic. He knows what he's talking about. He always fixes things the right way the first time. And we don't have to go back to him again and again and again to keep trying to get things fixed, because he does know what he's talking about. So after all this arguing with this guy, he finally said, okay, we'll replace the battery with an AGM battery, and we're not going to charge you any extra. And that's it. The warranty will cover it, and he's gonna knock off the whatever, it's like $359 or whatever that he was going to charge. Great. Wonderful. He needs to get educated. But the reason why these cars should not have that kind of battery is because of the start-stop engine. Because it starts and stops and starts and stops and starts and stops and starts and stops. And I asked him, well, Dad asked him, is there some kind of a setting that you can turn that off? And he said, no. You can do some kind of trick to disable it, like disconnecting the sensor that tells it the hood is shut, but then it'll constantly warn you that the hood is ajar. If the hood is ajar, it won't do the start and stop. But there's a whole list of reasons why it won't do start and stop. There's all these different sensors, and if one of those gets tripped for whatever reason that's in the list of reasons, then it won't do the start and stop. Like, for instance, if the battery is low, if the car knows that the battery is low, that there's something wrong with the battery and needs to be replaced, it won't do start and stop. And the guy at Midas said that there was a parasitic draw somewhere in the car. Where? What could possibly be drawing so much power that the battery dies in the middle of traffic and won't start the car again? It went flat dead. It was only putting out like 10 volts. That's not enough power to run the engine. It wasn't even enough power to properly run the hazard lights on the back of the car. Nobody could see that our hazard lights were blinking. And we are very lucky that nobody smashed into our rear end. And I'm very glad that cops came and helped.